Bauhaus.
The Bauhaus returned to basic colors.
Élémentaire.
Until the emergence of the Bauhaus, it was considered that basic research was the province of science rather than art. But research was fundamental to the Bauhaus approach. It made artists think like scientists. Walter Gropius.
We had to respond to the needs of an industrialized era and produce an approach to design which corresponded with it. Our designs were very pared down, very sparse. We abandoned ornamentation, and this imposed a certain severity of style on our work. The Bauhaus never developed projects for commercial exploitation or in response to fashionable trends. It was a laboratory concentrating on standard products rather than novelties. The Bauhaus wasn't aiming to propagate a style or system or dogma. It was there to exercise an enlivening influence on design in general.
These objects, designed and made between 1920 and 1930, have lost none of their modernity. In fact, they have served as models to generations of later designers and manufacturers who still market them today.
Blau.
Blue.
Gelb.
Yellow.
Rot.
Red. The equilateral triangle was yellow, as I remember. The circle was red, and the square was white. They wrote papers on the subject. They still exist, with all their various findings and replies.
During this intensive program of research at the Bauhaus, the rest of the world continued to surround itself with outdated decorative art, heaping ornamentation on ornamentation. The chair of the period became a symbol for the Bauhaus of everything that was pretentious and pernicious about bourgeois society. It was furiously condemned. It was this useless, cumbersome decoration which the Bauhaus contemptuously brushed aside. Only the essential skeleton of structure remained valid. Clarity and definition, like the clean lines of a hospital, that was what had to be achieved. It was an expression of tremendous faith and optimism in a new and better future. Everything was clean, neat, bright.
Schwarz und
Black and white. We worked together and played together. We used to make fun of the staid citizens of the town, and we held our own festivals for people without means. We hardly had the money to get drunk, but we were still euphoric on those occasions. If you had any money, you'd pay for a friend's meal, and later he'd pay for yours. If nobody had anything, you'd share a crust of bread together. This is the famous festival of the Flying Stags in Weimar. Some were so huge they wouldn't take off. But they're beautiful, don't you think? They were all done by painters. By Schlemmer, by Paul Klee, by Kandinsky. These are the children of Weimar. And that's probably Jonas Itten there, with his head shaved and his Indian costume. It looks like Itten's profile. This is the terrace in front of the canteen. When it was sunny, we'd move all the tables outside and eat there. But I don't recognize any of these people. That man there is certainly a guest, somebody from the town, because he's wearing an ordinary suit. We only wore suits with red cuffs or some other grotesque feature. This could be the Festival of Metal. You can see the bar, some kind of action there. There were glass balls covering the ceiling. That man has a top hat with little bells all over it, and this, I think, is a sort of conveyor belt. You sat in a little carriage and then suddenly arrived in the center of the room where people were dancing. We had our own orchestra with saxophone, piano and clarinet. Basically a classical jazz orchestra. The festivals were often fancy dress. There were disguises, masks, costumes. Oh, crazy costumes. The clown you can see in this film, that's pop art. And pop art hadn't even been heard of then.
There was also the Bauhaus theatre. The basic idea of the theatre, wrote Oskar Schlemmer, was to develop from the body and from the laws and mystery of space, to develop from the positions of the body, from its very presence, from the standing position to walking, to leaping, to dancing. Because every movement of a hand or a finger is an adventure. We learned to fear and to respect the human body's every gesture, particularly on the stage. For the stage is a world of appearances come to life, a second reality where all things are bathed in a magic light.
Oskar
Schlemmer, head of the Bauhaus from 1920 to 1929.